Here is everything you need to know to save your knees from getting arthritis in the future. One of the biggest predictors of getting knee arthritis is the imbalance between your quads in the front of your leg and your hip muscles in the back. Let me explain. In general, we start losing muscle mass around the age of 30, and our hip muscles tend to take the biggest hit. Why does this happen? It's because as we get older, we have a sitting job. And when we sit for hours every day, this puts a low stretch on your hip muscles. And having that constant low stretch on a muscle over time makes it weaker. Once you start getting weakness in your hips, your body will start want to keep up with what you're doing, but it will compensate. So you'll end up using your quads a lot more. We see this all the time in our office, whether it's a runner, a cyclist, or someone who just likes to go and work out. Their hips are always weak, and it starts at a young age. Now, you won't know much about the difference in your knees when you're younger, but as you get older, this imbalance between your hips and your quads that continues, it will create knee arthritis. And when your quads are stronger than your hips, this creates the imbalance in the forces of your knee, creating more compression in that knee joint. Plus, if you have a lot of weakness in those hip rotators, it creates a lot of compression on the inside of the knee because your hip rotators are what keeps the knee in a good position, not allowing the knees to look more knocked, like knock knees, which is what we call a knee valgus. Having knock knees and doing activities such as walking, running, working out, climbing stairs will create more wear and tear on the inside of that knee. So as we get into our 50s and 60s, we have even more accelerated muscle loss, which makes more functional activities such as walking, balance, stair climbing are going to be more challenging. But here's the problem. When you start looking at some of the research that's out there as we get older, they're wanting to increase your quad strength, which can feed into more knee pain. If this is happening to you, it's because people are missing the link between hip strength and quad strength. And the key is focusing on your hip strength. It's the number one thing that we do in our office. So here are 4 tips to start getting your glutes to get stronger. So here are 4 tips to get our glutes stronger. Now, when people are so weak in their glutes, which is so many people, one exercise may work for one person, but that same exercise may not work for another person. So we have to really tailor it to the person to make sure that they can actually really feel their glutes. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes we go through 2, 3, 4, 5 different exercises before we actually find one that actually they can feel. Because we have to get them to feel it. Because what's happening is it's kind of almost like jump starting that muscle. So, I know what it feels like, so that then now we can add movement to it to progress it. But you have to know how it feels first. So sometimes we can do it unloaded, where unloaded meaning that you're on the table and you're not going up against gravity and your feet aren't on the ground. And so sometimes we can start just working with that glute squeeze in that position. Other times people can feel it better when they're loaded, like where their feet are on the ground. And so another way people can do it is turning their feet out. It's going to make everything shortened, so where we can actually really feel those glutes firing. So we've got to get those glutes to fire in order to for you to feel it in order to progress those exercises. Because if you don't feel it, then it's not working. And so we really need to feel it. Now, the second thing is when you get the glutes firing and we finally find something that works, a lot of times we'll have you do it like 2, 3, 4 times throughout the day so that you can really get that feeling. You can know what it feels like. So the next thing is just like adding movement to it. And so what do I mean by that? So a lot of times you can do things where we can do glute squeezes where you're leaning forward and then pushing through the heel and squeezing the glute. So sometimes just adding a little bit of movement can help. We've also added bands where we have bands around the leg. So if we have a band around the leg and it's tied to the back of us and we push through the band, sometimes adding a band to do those activities actually helps as well, to where you can actually push through something to really get those muscles to activate. So adding movement's another phase of it, to where we can actually feel our glutes while we're doing certain movements. The next phase is like if you feel it in your knee, it's not working. That just means that you're compensating, you're using your quads, your muscles aren't strong enough to either do that activity, and you start compensating, you'll feel it in your knee. So we have to take a step back, or you're doing it wrong. You have some sort of compensation that you're doing. It's either too hard or you're compensating. And when it's too hard, you're going to be compensating because it's just too hard for you to do that activity. So anything that you feel in the knee as we're doing some of these exercises means that you are not getting your glutes to fire to support that leg. And so that's a big no-no. That's something that you need to pay attention to. If that happens, go back to exercises that you could do previously to start working on getting them a little bit stronger. Now, when we have people that we're working on getting stronger because the glutes are so weak, what can happen is those muscles can tighten up. And so then it starts hurting a little bit. And so we have to go in and release that. And when we release the muscles, literally you can get that muscle to contract even better. So that does happen. So that's something that we do notice, that when people are in our office, we're helping them through that because it's like you're so weak that you almost have overworked it with even the easy exercises. It does happen. The last thing is adding weight. Like as we get older, we just need to add weights to everything that we do, but you have to add weights safely, and you have to add weights where you actually can feel your muscles firing. So as we're progressing you through all these activities and paying attention to your form and where you're feeling it, we want to start adding weight to what we do because it's so important as we age. It is like the number one thing that we should be doing as we're getting older, but we need to do it safely. So again, the last tip I would say, I know I said there's going to be 4, but I'm going to give you the 5th one. Get to a specialist. If you can get to a specialist that understands your body, they're going to be able to help guide you through that process. Make sure your form's okay. Give you a different way of doing an exercise. Add a band to it. Take a band away. Get you on your feet, whatever the case may be, we're going to find what's going to be specific to your body to get you back much faster. So if you're interested in anything like that, definitely in the comment section, the description, you'll see some different resources that you have from us, as well as ways that you can work with us. And if you like what we have been giving you, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We put content out all the time. Or if you know someone that needs to hear this message, share this with someone. And if you have any questions or concerns on anything, go in the comment section. We do read the comments. We do get back with you. We'll just see you next time.